Hello dear children, welcome back. I'm Dr. Jisha Joe. This is the fourth session of the first chapter, The Living World of Class 11. In this session, we shall have a look at the various taxonomic aids. What are taxonomic aids? Taxonomic aids are aids that are used in the identification and classification of organisms. These include herbarium, botanical gardens, museum, zoological parks, and keys. We shall have a look at each one in detail. Coming to the first taxonomic aid, which is the herbarium. What is a herbarium? Herbarium refers to a collection of plant specimens that are dried, pressed, and preserved on sheets. A collection of plant specimens that are dried, pressed, and preserved on sheets. Most of the Indian herbaria follow the Bentham and Hooker's system of classification. Now this is a herbarium sheet which I have drawn here. Herbarium sheet looks like this, with the dried specimen of the plant at the center of the sheet. It may be glued or stitched onto the sheet, and on the right hand corner you can see a label. On this label, all the information about the botanical name, the common name, that is the local name, the English name of the plant specimen, then the date and place of collection, the family to which the specimen belongs, and the collector's name, the person who has collected the specimen. All these need to be written on the label that you can see on the right hand bottom side of the herbarium sheet. Okay, so herbarium. What is a herbarium? Herbarium refers to a collection of plant specimens that are dried, pressed, and preserved on sheets. Most of the Indian herbaria follow the Bentham and Hooker's system of classification. Now, a herbarium sheet carries a label on the right hand corner at the bottom right hand side, right hand corner. And this label carries the English name, the local name, the scientific name of the plant specimen, the date and place of collection of the plant specimen, and the collector's name and the family to which the plant specimen belongs. So these are to be there on the herbarium sheet. And the plant specimen may be either glued or may be stitched onto the herbarium sheet. So herbarium technique includes first collection. We have to collect the plant specimen. After collection, what is to be done? This plant specimen has to be dried. Drying of the plant specimen needs to be done. Then poisoning the plant specimen so as to prevent the attack of insects. Poisoning and mounding, stitching and labeling the plant specimen, and finally deposition of the sheet in the herbarium. So these are the techniques that are involved in the herbarium. Herbarium techniques include, what are they? Collection, drying, poisoning, mounding, stitching, labeling, and deposition. So I hope herbarium is clear to you. Now we shall have a look at the functions of the herbarium. Now the functions of the herbarium include: develops and manages a scientific collection of plants as a permanent record of diversity. So herbaria is a collection of plants which serve as a permanent record of diversity of plants. Number 2, it is a source of research on plants. It acts as a source of research on plants. And number 3, it provides information to the users. It provides the information about the plant specimens to the users. So these are the functions of the herbarium. So develop and manage scientific collections of plants as a permanent record of plant diversity, serves as a source of research on flora and provides botanical information to its users. Now moving on to the second taxonomic aids, which is the botanical garden. What are botanical gardens? Botanical gardens refer to collections of living plants for reference. Living plants, collection of living plants. Herbarium was a collection of dead, dried, pressed and preserved plants, whereas botanical gardens are a collection of living plants for reference. Then these plant specimens are grown for identification purpose. This is the function of botanical garden. The plant specimens are grown for identification purpose. And in a botanical garden, each plant specimen will be labeled using its botanical name or the scientific name and the family to which the plant belongs. The famous botanical gardens include the Kew Botanical Garden in England, Indian Botanical Garden at Howrah, and the National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow. So once again, botanical gardens are collections of living plants for reference, and the main function is the plant specimens in botanical gardens are grown for identification purpose. Each plant in a botanical garden will be labeled using its scientific name, that is the botanical name, along with its family. And the famous botanical gardens include the Kew Botanical Garden in England, Indian Botanical Garden in Howrah, and the National Botanical Research Institute in Lucknow. Now coming to the third taxonomic aid, which is the museum. Museum refers to a collection of preserved plants and animals for reference or study. A collection of preserved plants or animal specimens for reference or study. So, how are the plant specimens or animal specimens preserved in museum? There are different ways in which these are preserved. Some specimens may be preserved in jars using preservatives. Certain others may be presented as dry specimens. Insects may be preserved in insect boxes after killing and pinning on to the insect boxes. Large animals may be stuffed and preserved. And skeletons of various animals are also there in the museum. So once again, museum refers to a collection of preserved plants and animals for reference or study. These specimens may be preserved in various ways. Okay, the first way, one of the ways in which it is preserved is in jars using preservatives. Second method is they may be preserved as dried specimens. Insects may be preserved in insect boxes after collecting, killing and pinning the insects onto the insect boxes. Insects may be preserved in insect boxes. Large animals may be stuffed and preserved, and museums also have collections of various skeletons of different animals. Moving on to the next taxonomic aid, the zoological parks. Zoological parks are places where wild animals are kept in protected areas under human care. Wild animals are kept in protected areas under human care. Such places are called as the zoological parks. And the zoological parks help us to learn about the food habits and the behavior of various animals. So this is the next taxonomic aid, that is the zoological park. Zoological parks are places where wild animals are kept under human care and in protected areas, and zoological parks help us to learn about the food habits and the behavior of the different types of animals. Moving on to the next taxonomic aids, which are the taxonomic keys. What are taxonomic keys? They are devices that are used for the identification of plants or animals based on similarities and dissimilarities. Based on the similarities and dissimilarities, plants or animals are identified using this device, which we call as the taxonomic key. Okay, a simple key is written here, is shown here. You can see 1A, well-defined nucleus present. If the specimen has a well-defined nucleus, then it is a eukaryote. If the second statement, that is B, well-defined nucleus is absent, if the specimen that we got, looking at the specimen, we see that well-defined nucleus is absent in the specimen, then using this key we have to go to 2. So we go to 2. Now 2A, okay, 2A, it is written cell wall is made of peptidoglycan. If the cell wall is made of peptidoglycan, it is a true bacterium, or it is a eubacterium. Whereas if the cell wall is without peptidoglycan, it is archaebacterium. This is a very simple, very small key, just for making you understand I have written this. So here you can see two statements there. These two options are, these are called as the couplets, and each statement of a couplet is called as a lead. These are the couplets. A and B refer to the couplet, and each statement in a couplet is called as the lead. Okay, so here in taxonomic keys, the choice is made between two opposite options. Two options, opposite options are given, and we have to make the choice between the two opposite options. So this is an example, a simple example of taxonomic key. So taxonomic keys are devices that are used for the identification of plants and animals based on similarities and dissimilarities, and here the choice is made between two opposite options. Okay, and the two opposite options are called as the couplets, and each statement of a couplet is called as the lead. Now, flora, manuals and monographs are some other means of recording the descriptions, and these help in the correct identification of plants and animals. What are manuals? Manuals provide information for the identification of names of species in an area. Okay, provide information for the identification of names of the species found in a particular area. This is done with the help of manuals. Now, what is flora? Flora gives an account of the habitat and distribution of plants in a given area. The habitat and distribution of the plants found in a particular area is found in the flora. Flora provides an index to the plant species of a given area. And what about monographs? Monographs provide information on any one taxon. Monographs provide information on any one taxon. So, manuals, flora, monographs, all these are other means of recording descriptions on plants and animals, and these help in the correct identification of plants and animals. As you can see, manuals provide information for the identification of the names of species in a given area. Flora gives an account of the habitat and distribution of plants in a given area, and monographs provide information on any one taxon. So I hope this session on taxonomic aids is clear to you. With this, we have come to the end of the first chapter, that is the living world. And if you have any doubts or suggestions, please give your doubts and suggestions in the comment section. Thank you.